Warning, if you don't like watching long videos, you're going to need to skip this one. But if you stay with me for a couple of minutes, this is going to be instructive, particularly as it relates to your finances. Over the weekend, I was on my financial immunity webinar, and I was telling people how the coronavirus pandemic, while that is important, much more dangerous is the loss of wealth that's happening during this season. So people are losing money by the day. And I was reading my Bible. Now, I know that's a part of me that most people don't figure. Yes, I'm Christian. Me and Jesus are pretty cool like that. And I was meditating on a scripture in 2 Kings chapter 4. If you don't have a Bible, it's cool. I'll just run you through it. That's the story of Elisha and the woman with the jar of oil. And it was quite interesting for me because I read, many times I see the Bible from an economic standpoint. I see numbers, I see money. Maybe because I'm 50% evil, but it's right there. And I was reading 2 Kings 4, and it was quite instructive that at the time where that scripture was being talked about, they were in a famine, they were in a global recession. Elisha had prayed and said there would be no rain for 3.5 years. So people were poor, people were broke, people were barely getting by. And then the story says this woman comes and she says to Elisha that my husband, your servant, is dead. And he had a huge debt and he couldn't pay it off before he died. Now the creditors have come to take my sons to sell them as slaves so they can get their money back. So pause for a second. That means that no matter what your relationship with God is, money is entirely up to you. Your prosperity is up to you. God will give you salvation. He gives you all those things. He doesn't give you money. He gives you ideas, power, favor, and all those things. So it is God's responsibility to bless you, and bless you he has. It's your responsibility to prosper. But guess what? You can't prosper if you don't have products. I'm going to say that again. It's God's responsibility to bless you. It's your responsibility to prosper, but you can't prosper if you don't have products. So even though he was a man of God, he died broke because he didn't understand that thing. And a lot of us are in that place where today we're struggling in our finances, we're sitting at home, life is happening, our money is finishing by the day, we're probably not getting paid. We don't know how long this shit's going to be, whether it's going to be a month, a couple of months, or a couple of weeks, we don't know. But people are in dire straits. And so, long story short, he asks a very fundamental question, and that's one of the questions I want to ask you in this video. He says, what do you have of value in the Amplified Version? He says, what do you have of value that's in the house? And she says, I ain't got nothing. I don't have anything of value. And you're watching me right now. You're probably thinking about it because you're employee, entrepreneur, whatever your business model is predicated on. And you say to yourself, I don't have anything of value. I have nothing in the house that I can sell or I can create. And that's what many of us do. We look at our lives and say we don't have anything of value. But the beautiful thing about that, after she focused on all the negatives, the next thing she says, accept. And she says, accept this jar of oil. And now it's very instructive that that jar of oil was enough. So my point is, my friend, you're watching this video right now, whatever you have in your house is enough, right? You've got a skill and ability that God placed in your heart from the very beginning. It's enough. You found out that it's something that you're good at. It came to you naturally. It's your gift. Listen, check it out. Fish don't take swimming lessons. Birds don't go to flight school. There's something that God put inside of you that comes to you naturally. Your job now in this season is to sit down with it and create stuff. But let me not get ahead of myself. So he says, find it, bring it. So once she brings the jar of oil, he says something that's quite instructive. He says, go to all your neighbors and go and borrow vessels. Go and get containers. Don't get a few. He says, get as much as you can, right? And now what does that mean to me? It means that he told her, so for example, in this corona pandemic season, there are families who are staying together who haven't stayed together in a while. There are husbands and wives who would use work as distancing from themselves because they didn't really have a relationship. And now they're sitting at home and they have to talk, they have to connect, and they're realizing that their marriage container is empty because they don't really know each other, right? They're parents with their kids who they normally would send to school, and when leave the housekeeper to take care of them, and by the time the parents come back from work, the kids are already asleep, so they don't really have a relationship with them. And now they realize, sitting at home with their kids for about a week, they realize that they don't know their kids and their kids don't know them. The value in that parental relationship, that container, is empty. There professionals who are watching this video who you've been going to work for the last 12 years, and you realize that your work has been tied to your job and you don't know how to make money apart from your job. That container is empty. There are people who are watching me right now. You realize that your financial container is empty because you don't have any savings, you don't have an emergency fund, you don't have any investments, you don't know how to make money by yourself. That container is empty. And it was quite interesting that Elijah says, go borrow those vessels, go and get people with those problems, those empty containers, and I want you to fill them. Your job in this season is to look for people with problems that you can solve and fill them. So for example, there's a hand sanitizer problem right now, right? But guess what? You can sit at home, right, and go on YouTube and watch a video on how to create hand sanitizers from home, right? You don't need to be a pharmacist. You don't need to be a specialist. Go get some alcohol, and I don't mean small styles. You know what I'm saying? Go get some original, proper alcohol. Watch a video and create it. Now, you can be sitting at home in this season and Netflixing and chilling, but guess what? It's the same amounts of data that you would use to Netflix and chill that you could literally use to sit on YouTube and watch an instructional video. Your job in this season is to look for containers and fill them. Now, the very interesting thing after that was that he says, shut the door behind you. Shut the door behind you. And that for me speaks about two things. Number one, it speaks about scarcity, create scarcity. But more importantly, it speaks about coming into yourself, being introspective. This is the season, my friend, that you must be introspective. This is the season where you need to sit down and say to yourself, if I lost my job today, if this coronavirus goes for a month, 6 weeks, or a year, just ask yourself this question. If this shit continues, how long will it take before I beg, borrow, or steal? This is the time to be introspective. This is the time to ask yourself, the way I've been doing business, it's like now I need to start going online, because my business previously had been brick and mortar. I required people to come, but now I need to start thinking online. This is the time to be introspective. This is the time to think. This is the time to ask those hard-ass questions. How come you don't have no savings? How come you don't have no investments? This is the time. How come you're not earning in dollars? The last time I checked on the parallel market, a dollar was literally about $400, 400 and something. So if you have $1 million there, that's $2,500. That's not even the price of a Louis Vuitton bag. You know what I'm saying? So we may be locally rich, but we're globally poor. That's a question you need to ask yourself. Why am I poor? But let me move on to the scripture. And then he says, shut the door behind you. And then here's the fun part. He says, when you pour out the vessels, this is the instruction. He says, go and sell them. Now, please understand the context of that time. These guys were in a famine. There was no rain for 3.5 years. There was drought. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't that they didn't have money. So guess what? In famines, right? In recessions, people have money. They have money. Your job is to find what is urgent and important to them and give it to them. So it's not necessarily just about what you want to sell. It's about what do they want to buy, right? So your job. And it's quite interesting that the prophet said, go and sell them to people around you. So in this recession, in this time, don't feel guilty that you have to sell stuff. No, don't feel guilty. You're not scamming people. You would feel guilty if you were scamming them. But right now, listen, you can't save your way out of recession. You have to spend your way out of recession. And I'm not talking about being lascivious with your resources. I'm saying that, for example, countries that went into recession and they tried to save their way, they went into austerity. Nigeria, Greece, some of those countries, they had big ass issues. Countries that decided to ask themselves, how can we sell, how can we trade, how can we spend our way, how can we exchange value out of this recession, they were the ones who made money. So he said, go and sell to those people. So don't feel guilty about selling your market, selling your value, exchange value, but you must be selling something that is urgent and important to the customer. This is not the time to charge them exorbitant prices that will probably kill them. No. It's like hand sanitizer. Hand sanitizer perhaps was $500. Now people are selling for $20K. That's ridiculous. Go to punish those people. You know what I'm saying? But my point is, this is the time for you, my friend, to sit introspectively, shut the door behind you, and ask yourself, what can I sell? This is not a time to be proud. Your job can't save you. This is the time to start thinking about what value can I exchange. Fish don't take swimming lessons. Give you an example. I was speaking to someone who's a baker, and she says, okay, Steve, I'm a baker. What can I sell? People are not buying cakes right now. I said, okay, so why can't you teach people how to bake? I said, there are many women out there in homes who all have stoves. They have, not stoves, they have, ovens. You know, they've got the cooker and they've got the ovens. And most Nigerians, right, we tend to we only use the burner, right? We don't know how to use the oven. We don't know how to use the grill. What if, for example, you can now teach moms or women or men, anyone who's interested, how to bake cakes using the oven that they have in their house, and you create that into either an online course or webinar. Make it affordable. People can buy, they can practice, film a video, sit down. If you can't get a camera crew, use your phone. Let your husband film you as you cook, as you use the, you know, the oven, how it works, and how you bake a cake, how you bake pancakes, whatever it is the hell you do. That is practical value that people will pay for. My point is, there are people who have empty vessels, but they need it to be filled. Your job is to find the people with the empty vessels and sell your oil to them. Don't keep the oil to yourself. You can do stuff for free, absolutely, but you can also make sure that when you do something for free, like for me, I did my financial immunity webinar. It was free, absolutely free, but I upsold something that was valuable to the people that I'm going to work with April 1st. So my point to you, my friend, in this Bible study, this economic Bible study, is what do you have in your hand that is of value? What do you have in your hand that is of value, that you can trade for urgent and important exchange to the customer? Find the people who have empty containers in their finances, fill them. In their relationships, fill them. In their health, fill them. There are people who are sitting at home, they don't know how to work the hell out. You can create instructional videos, right, where they can have routines that they can follow every day. Put them on a WhatsApp group, they'll pay 1,000 or whatever the hell it is, they'll pay. It is urgent and important to them. Their relationships, they're not communicating, building intimacy, sex, whatever it is. Find the people who have empty vessels, and your job is to fill it. Don't do it for free. Don't do it for free. Shut the door behind you. Sit down and say, what can I do? Ask yourself the hard-ass questions. Why is our marriage not working? Why is our finances not working? Why are we like this? How long will we continue like this? We don't know how long this shutdown's going to be. But if it went for a month, how long would you survive? If it went for 6 months, would you survive? If it went for a year, would you survive? Now's the time to ask those hard questions and get the right answers. I hope this has been beneficial to you. Welcome to my economic Bible study, but make it happen. The famine is meant for wealth exchange, and I hope you become wealthy in this time. All right? God bless you guys. Stay safe. Wash your damn hands. Peace.